if right?
Where's the bourbon?
Yeah, where is the bourbon? Well, I mean, JD had a good point. He thought we'd have bagels.
Oh, I could have.
That's my fault. I didn't get it. And then after that, I'm trying to have everybody put their thumbprint on. Leave your thumbprint.
Okay.
Melanoma was black, so I pulled out the black ink for you, and then you can sign your name in one of the colors that I've got there. So we're excited to hear it. Are we ready? We are ready. You feel comfortable? You ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to a Cancer Story podcast, where we share stories of survivorship, loss, faith, lifestyle, alternatives, and resources. I'm your host, BK Foster, and after my diagnosis, I have come across numerous people that have stories to tell and incredible stories to share, which one of them's here today. I'd like to introduce you to Rich. Rich, welcome to the podcast. If you would, give us a little brief history on yourself.
Let's see. I'm from Los Angeles. I moved here in 2006, Cartersville, Georgia, with my wife and 2 daughters. Been here ever since. And thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So, I know a brief history of your story, but what I'd love to hear is your take on the cancer that you got and the struggles and not just the physical struggles, but the mental struggles that you had to go through with your process.
Okay. So the physical led to the anguish that I had mentally, right?
Right.
It all started when I was, probably 11, 12 years old. I was a surfer in Los Angeles since I was 11. Went to the city pools. The pride of every year that I would go to the pool, I'd get a sunburn on my nose. It would peel and peel and then bleed, and that was my cancer. That was what started my whole lifestyle, was being in the sun. 2004, I jumped, because this is 84 to 2004, was my exposure until I was diagnosed with malignant melanoma.
Malignant.
Yep. So it was almost a full millimeter right on my spine. It was a little mole. You couldn't really tell. It was small to me, but I can't see back there.
Right.
But my wife at the time, 5 years married, said, "Don't come home with that on your back. I want it gone and tested." And it turned out to be fully malignant and growing, changing colors and all that. It had a foggy border. That was my thing. I was like, why did it look like misty, kind of like it's spreading out? And it was the size of my pinky nail, pretty small. They came back as soon as they tested it. They said, "You got to come back in 2 days." So we did the full-blown, it was the size of my fist. They said it was like a softball. So they went about 3 inches across, 3 inches in, and they took out one of my muscles, not all of it, but the rhomboid right in the back there. A full circle. They just took it all out. I couldn't lift this. I couldn't do like the rear deltoid muscle. I couldn't lift anything if I was bent over. I didn't have the muscle back there. It just felt weird. And then they took out the lymph nodes under each of my armpits. There's 20 plus under each side. And so they took those out, tested them. Thankfully, nothing went anywhere. And so it was very localized. So the physical part was not very exciting or very scary. It was all the what if it got worse, or what if it comes back, or what if. Yeah. And then who am I leaving behind if this does get serious? That's all the pain for me.
Right.
I can handle it. I got the broad shoulders. I'm going to make the money for the family. I'm going to make my family safe and do all the things I got to do. But it's that anguish of, did I do enough for someone else?
Right.
And
well, so with the operation that you had, did you have to do any radiation or any chemo after that, or they just pulled it out? And
they pulled it out, and thankfully they said they got clean borders. They usually did there's a couple of procedures they do where they slice thin until they get a clean border. They just cut it all out and then cut it under the microscope separate from my body. So they didn't do a little and then check it and do a little and check it. They
Right.
just pretty much went in and took it all out. So I was fortunate it didn't come back. But then there's more spots that have popped up over the years.
Yeah.
And they take them out and they're abnormal cells. They call it a dysplastic nevus, which is on the way to malignant melanoma.
Okay.
And so they've removed those over at Redmond, and that was 2012 timeframe. So, I mean, from 2004 to 2012, you think, okay,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer June 8th of last year. And so I was given 12 to 18 months to live, but I just knew in my heart I was going to beat it. So I had a PET scan in October that the cancer went inactive. And you think, well, you know what? I beat it. So I had another one in February, and the cancer is active. It's not the same cancer. It's still considered pancreatic, even though it's in my liver and my lymph nodes now. But I feel like next time I'll go inactive again. But it's always that thing, you think you got it beat, and then you go for a checkup, and boom, there's something that's going to be there. And that was difficult for me, going 5 months in and being re-diagnosed with cancer after going inactive. And it's always in the back of your mind, I mean, it's like my oncologist said, when I went inactive, I said, does that mean I don't have stage 4 cancer anymore? She said, no, you'll always have stage 4 cancer. Yeah. And I didn't believe her, but in fact, I think it's part of the reality. It's something that's just going to be a fight.
Yeah.
And like you said, who are you going to leave it to? What have you done enough? Mm-hmm. And that's the mental anguish that that I think we all go through if you've been diagnosed with something, even a trauma, But we're talking about a cancer story here, and it's something we have to deal with. It's just something that's always back there, and hopefully we have enough faith to know that we're on the right path.
That's true. I mean, there's a lot that, I don't know, I kind of stop and think of the way I was raised. My mom didn't want to be a burden to anyone, so she was that very comfortable, catering to everyone, not be a burden, not be a problem.
Right.
Anywhere she's at all the time. But as she grew into her older years, it taught me, I saw it, and I saw how she just took on so much, and I didn't want to, I guess I just took on that type of mindset that I take it all on.
Right.
But at the same time, that doesn't help the people I leave behind. If I took all their stuff, then they have nothing that I don't know. It's a weird mind game.
Yeah. So with your melanoma and stuff like that, is there any advice that you'd have? I mean, sun exposure, checking early, when you had that spot.
Right.
I mean, for somebody that might have a spot with, you said that grayness around it.
Yeah. Like an opaque on the outside.
For people out there that are wondering about a mark on their body, what would you suggest? How would you?
Yeah. Well, first thing in my mind is take it all off.
get it out.
Any marks, get it checked, get it biopsied. Even the doctor said, "Oh, it's nothing, but I could take it off if you'd like." I said, "My wife said I can't come home with it on."
Right.
So my wife has actually saved my life. The doctor didn't even know just from the observation.
At least once, right?
At least once, yeah.
For this time.
Yeah. And I always have to remember that there's doctors out there that get seasoned classes too.
Yeah.
And they still get their doctor degree. So people are people, and they only practice medicine. They're not the master physician.
Right.
You got to think of it from that perspective. You just got to be smart about it and know your own body.
Yeah.
Educate yourself. That's the thing that I didn't do early on. I was just kind of worried about the people around me. But then I started saying, well, if I'm not around, that hurts them more. So I better educate myself.
Yeah. And you still go for regular checks? You got a dermatologist?
Every 5 years or so. I went over that from 2004 till 2012 was pretty, every year I'd go. And then after 2012, they said, this scraped it off. Oh, yeah, that's all it was, just surface. It was an abnormal cell type. Right. They didn't even identify it. So they said, you're fine. Just keep watching it. Anything that changes,
Yeah,
because some melanoma is under the skin.
Yeah.
You can't even see it. Has no melanin to it. And it grows inward. So it could go right inside. And it's the fastest growing cancer is what I've been told.
wow,
Faster than any other replication.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Well, is there any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience here today? Or
I don't know. If you think you can protect yourself from the sun, I mean, I think there's things going through buildings, you know?
Well, do you think the
There's thoughts.
chemicals in some of the sunscreens are harmful as well?
Well, that's a thing. I think if you get sunburns at a young age, and that's why I said 11 when it started, it's 80s. You know, SPV is not in the 80s.
I mean, in
what
the
is
80s,
that?
I was doing baby oil.
Yeah,
you know?
baby oil.
I mean,
right.
I'm, I'm part Indian, so I've got olive skin and brown eyes.
Yeah.
So, it was just as dark as I could get, no matter what,
Yeah.
But I think some of the sunscreens today have chemicals in. So, I'd suggest myself is reading the labels. I'm more of a holistic guy, so I'd look for the chemicals and stuff like that, and try to stay away from those because you're already dealing with the sun. Why deal with the chemicals as well, right?
Yeah.
But
in the last 20 years, basically, the 24.
Yeah.
The last 20 years, I've probably been sunburnt 4 times, and then the wife let me have it after that. So I'm very cautious when it comes to the UV shirts when I go to the beach. But I mean, I still have just
you still get it
driving in the car. I mean, it's everywhere. And who knows what the science says, because they say you put something on, it still gets through. Some gets through.
Right.
And I have the skin type clearly. So now it's a 30% chance that it'll reoccur on my skin type. I'm Austrian, so it's very clear skin.
Clear skin.
Yeah.
See through.
Yeah.
See through. Well, Rich, thanks for coming today. I really appreciate it. I think your stories inspired me. I think it's educational to a lot of people. For the audience out there, I hope you found this as amazing and inspiring as I did. If you did, please subscribe to A Cancer Story podcast. Also, if you'd like to check out our website at BK Foundation, you can get some of our merch. I've got the Cancer Story hats, shirts, some other things. You can get the podcast download there, audio and video, and some other merch and newsletters, stuff like that. So hopefully you become part of our community. And again, I just really want to thank you for coming in today, Rich, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, BK. Appreciate it.
All right. Good. We'll leave it rolling for a little bit.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
So at the beginning you said the mindset of what will happen if I leave this behind? Like what changed? What did you do differently after that point? Like to make sure that you wouldn't leave them, and if you did, that they were set up for what they needed.
Yeah, so it wasn't more of a practical, I'm going to save money and make everything safe and put everything in a bubble. It was the direct opposite of that. I'm going to make every second count. It was like, I think Tim McGraw had a song. I'm going to go skydiving, highway, flying, whatever. That mindset just took over. I wouldn't have started my bagel business. I wouldn't have ran a marathon. I ran that in 2003. And then the next year I find out I had this cancer.
Yeah.
And I didn't finish college. Took 13 years to get a 4-year college degree. I mean, I did stupid stuff like that, but I had to prove to myself that I was adding value to this world.
Yeah.
And I wanted my family and those that loved and cared about me to be better for my life being here. So that's all it really meant for me.
On that note too, I mean, and that's why I started to Leave Your Thumbprint, is to help create legacies. And it's not about the tangible. It's not about the money that you can hold on to. It's about creating the memories. I know, I miss my father, my mother and my father's voice more than anything. So, I'm looking to do recordings for my daughter. My daughter's 19, just turned 19. So I'm doing recordings that I can, if I miss those special occasions, that there'll be something for her there,
Yeah.
and not the tangibles, the intangibles, where she can have a video of me spending some time with her,
Right.
So I agree with you. It really comes in when you're diagnosed with something that could be life ending. You do think about the tangibles. You think about, well, what can I leave them? But it's the things that they're going to miss the most is not the money.
No.
It's not what you provide.
Yeah.
It's the memories
And the experiences
and
together.
the experiences. And that's I think that's one of the good things about being diagnosed and having that in front of you is that you realize that we don't live forever.
Yeah.
And it creates more special moments with those you love, I think.
You make it intentional.
It is more
You
intentional.
don't just kind of
like
sit and watch TV together. No.
that. Yeah.
You're intentionally activated with each other. And I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to adopt, the intentional, because I think because it is more intentional. I love that, Rich. Thank you. Thanks again.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for inviting me. Cool.
All right. Awesome. Well, like I said, I'll step up my game now.
It's funny, I have this feeling about people saying certain cancers aren't very serious. Skin cancer. Oh, you just scraped it off and then that didn't. And then you scraped it off and then it's gone. It's not like eating your insides, And that kind of, you get that feeling like I had that, right? I don't have what you have that you can't see and it's inside. You don't know what's happening. But I may have it in there somewhere doing its malignancy. I don't know. But it's this, I don't feel, I don't know. I don't feel like a cancer survivor. I really don't.
Yeah.
Just because you just scraped it off my skin and it's gone. I didn't have the physical thing. I just had the mind game.
Well, and I was talking earlier about some of the things I'm doing, and this last round when I got diagnosed in February, it's been really, really tough on me mentally. I mean, the chemo's tough anyway, but mentally, and just started at the start of this week, I started to feel like me again. And truthfully, I don't feel like I've got cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm dealing with chemo, but I don't really feel like I have cancer. Which I guess that's a good thing. But it's also that hidden demon too, right?
Sure. I always thought maybe I'd be like a David Goggins, he
Right.
always running and doing crazy stuff. He's like recycling every cell in his body by exerting so much of himself physically that, wow, I mean, maybe I do that. Maybe that replenishes the cells with stronger ones, or the endorphins are a natural healing or something. And I've often thought of that. I'm like, God, I'm too tired for that. but at the same time, it's like,
Right.
gosh.
I'm
Who
going through
knows?
so many protocols. I mean, most of my days just doing some sort of therapy.
Yeah.
Even I only do chemo every other week, but I mean, I'm doing so many other alternatives or whatever. I'm working with something on my neuropathy. I do that for 2 hours a day.
From the platinum chemo?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, which at this moment I can't feel my hands or my feet from my leg down. But I found this really good, and we'll have him on the podcast. I found this really good doctor in Woodstock that deals with neuropathy, and not just from chemo related, but just diabetic and stuff like that. And I'm on a 12-week program that I'm starting to feel some relief.
Good.
So hopefully I'll be able to feel at least my feet again.
Yeah. It's hard getting through the information that's actually valid.
Yeah.
Because for every positive, there's a negative, and it becomes this propaganda instead of education.
Yeah, for sure.
Sad, but
Did you find that a lot when you were doing your research? You found a lot of stuff that you thought was like real, and then it just turned out not to be valid.
yeah. I mean, I didn't put it to test, obviously, because they just scooped it and it was done. But from me saying about the doctor, it's nothing, but you could take it off. Well, that's what they thought back then, you know, in the early 2000s. It's just a mole. Don't worry about it. It's a freckle. But now it's like, we'll take it off and test it, man. We'll take it and test it. So the mindset has changed for the professional medical community, but also at the same time, we have to be educated to know that medicine changes over time. They may learn more, but it also get fractioned into propaganda and hearsay. And, well, my aunt did this. Well, your aunt's not you. It's an individual challenge. And like you said, you're always going to have pancreatic cancer, stage 4, always.
You know, and to me, it's sort of enduring, because a lot of people come. You know, I've built a lot of trust in the community, so people trust in just letting go to me. So when they find out that I have cancer, everybody's got that connection to cancer. You know, unfortunately, everybody has a cancer story. But they tell me, you know, well, my cousin did this, or you know, this helped my uncle, or my, you know, and of course everybody wants you to take THC. Well, that just never worked for me. But I wouldn't be doing the protocols that I'm doing now had somebody not shared their story with me either.
Yeah,
you know, and that's kind of what, you know, I'm hoping that we can do here with a Cancer Story podcast, is just enlighten people that there's things out there.
Yeah.
You know, not everything's going to work for you. If you find something that you think's going to hit it, try it.
Yeah.
It may or may not, but you know what? It's not going to hurt anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome.
Will it kill you faster? I don't know.
Right. Right. You never know, right?
But you gave it a shot. I mean,
exactly. Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Man, I appreciate it, Rich. If we could get your thumbprint on here, man. On the podcast, we just I'm doing this also what I want.
There's a quality of life I can't obtain, and there ain't two ways around it. My heart just keeps on pounding while you're draining every little part of me.